Alright, this is the anterior abdominal wall. We essentially only have 4 muscles, and the nice thing about the 4 muscles that we have here are that they're actually pretty clear because the muscles themselves are quite large. What you'll have is 3 layers of muscles. Keep in mind the principle of muscle fibers that travel in a V, kind of like a V going from shoulder to belly, are externals, and ones that go in A would be considered internals. So as I take a look on the first side, as you can imagine, that these muscles here along the sides of the ribs coming down onto the abdomen, that would be the external oblique muscles. Notice what happens next. As I come on this side, they are stripped away, and you'll have these muscles coming up in the A, coming up from the hips up to the sternum. This would be the internal oblique. So again, contrasting this, external oblique, and then over here, internal oblique. And then deep to this, if I were to strip this one more layer, you'll actually find one muscle that is transversely associated, because we want to see the muscle themselves going straight across. As I were to put this down, and you can see this here, notice how the muscle fibers right at my thumb are going transversely straight across, and that's why we call this transversus abdominis. Now on the anterior side, what you'll find as well is we find some muscles that will go straight up and down. This is our rectus abdominis muscle. So this muscle is the only muscle in the body that actually has these tendinous intersections. You see these white lines making our six-pack, one's right at my thumb. That's a tendinous intersections. On the other side, you'll find that the external oblique, internal oblique, and transversus abdominis essentially make this kind of sheet that covers the rectus abdominis. This sheet is called the rectus sheaths. So this one on the anterior side, this would be the anterior rectus sheath, while on the posterior side, this white sheet over here would be called the posterior rectus sheath. They're both aptly named. What you'll find also unique is that once you get down to the inguinal region, you'll find that the rectus sheaths end, and they just kind of line themselves up and thicken right here to creating something what we call the inguinal ligament. So this line right here is essentially just the end of the rectus sheaths. It's called the inguinal ligament. What you'll find is the inguinal ligament does have a hole, kind of like tucks up underneath, makes a little roll, and then you get this little hole that actually leads into the abdomen. For males, we have the structure that comes out through that hole, the spermatic cord. It's called and the hole is called the superficial inguinal ring. There's not a good example because this is a non-sexed kind of model, but that's okay. What you'll find is for males and females alike, we have the superficial inguinal ring that will lead in and out of the abdominal cavity, and that's where we get hernias from. So let's do a quick review. 4 muscles all together. On this side, this going into the V's, external oblique. Where my hand is, internal oblique. On the posterior side, cutting transversely, transversus abdominis. And then the muscle coming straight up and down would be the rectus abdominis with the tendinous intersections, covered over by the white sheet called the anterior rectus sheath, and the posterior rectus sheath like a sandwich, and then ending with the rectus sheaths having the inguinal ligament with the hole called the superficial inguinal ring.